from around the world, welcome to the Insurance Guys podcast. My name is Scott Howell, your fearless host and leader, insurance agency owner and insurance evangelist for I Protect Insurance and Financial Services, based out of Huntsville, Alabama. And before we get started on today's episode, please help me welcome. He is a 6'3" sophomore from Mobile, Alabama, parade first team All-American, Rivals 5-star recruit. He is a fantastic insurance agent and a great American. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together and welcome the incomparable Mr. Bradley Flowers. How are you, Bradley?
I'm great. What about you?
Best I've ever been. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm in Mobile, Alabama. I have a special on-air surprise this morning for Mr. Bradley Flowers. And he is going, when I do what I'm about to do, Bradley is going to stand up. He's going to calmly take his headphones off, and then he's going to start throwing desks in this particular podcast studio. He's going to get so fired up. Are you ready, Bradley?
I'm not sure.
Here we go.
Okay.
Give me just 1 second. We have a special guest star appearance today on the podcast, and there is a reason, ladies and gentlemen, for this special appearance. So, without further ado, we are going to live on air call my son, Wyatt Howell. Hold on, let's see if he'll answer. Think he will.
And why are we calling Wyatt?
Wyatt Howell, you are live on the Insurance Guys podcast. How are you today, son?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. I have one question for you, and Bradley Flowers is sitting beside me right now, and I just want you to confirm what I'm about to say.
Hey, Wyatt.
All right.
So, do you or do you not, you're currently in Tuscaloosa. Yesterday was your first day of school, had a long day. Long day, ended at 8 o'clock last night. Do you or do you not, from where your apartment sits on the second floor off of 15th Street, do you have a Foosackly's less than 50 yards from your apartment?
I do.
Oh,
I do, right
that makes me so mad.
Now, if you walked out your door on the second floor and you walked down the stairs, how long would it take you to be in the Foosackly's parking lot to get some chicken fingers and a Coke Zero?
I'm gonna say with no traffic, probably 5 minutes.
All right, let me give him my order. Let me give you. All right,
Run across the street, probably 3.
all right. I'm gonna give you the order. Okay, you ready for the order? I want you to eat this for lunch today. Okay, you use your dad's credit card. You want a chicken finger salad. You have to say it just like this. If you don't say it exactly like this, they won't make it this way. Okay, you want a chicken finger salad with the chicken fingers rolled in buffalo sauce. And then for your dressing, they're going to look at you weird. For your dressing, you get three dressings. You want 2 buffalo and 1 jalapeno ranch.
Ooh,
It's a homemade jalapeno ranch dressing. And what you're going to do is when you're going
to do is stay on the toilet all afternoon.
That'll happen too. But what you're going to want to do is when you get the salad, the chicken fingers are going to be separate. Okay, they're already going to have buffalo. You're going to take those 2 buffalo sauces and you're going to pour that on the salad. Then you're going to put the fingers on it, and then you're going to put the jalapeno ranch, and it's good. And there's actually, I know you're an athlete, there's actually not that many calories in that.
And he does count calories. He's
I
a
do
big.
need calories.
So that's what I want you to get for lunch today.
I gotta get as many calories as possible.
All right, we'll get 2 of them then.
I'll get 2 of them. I'll eat 2 of them.
Hey, I love you so much, son. Have a great day. I just wanted to make Bradley jealous that you are that close to a Foosackly's chicken place.
Yep, I'm passing it right now.
All right. Well, hey, have a great day. I love you.
I love you too.
All right. See you.
So
Bye-bye.
to give the listeners context, we tried to call him yesterday on his first day to surprise him on the air, but he was too busy for us.
So first day yesterday. Let me go ahead and run down. First 2 classes, first day of college, 2 classes, 8 a.m., 10 a.m., 1 o'clock, from 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock, physical.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. 3 o'clock till 6 o'clock, 3 hours last night.
Practice?
No. Athletic orientation. Here's athletic orientation. Number 1, if you get a DUI, go back to your apartment, call your parents, pack your shit up, and leave.
Yeah.
Okay, that's number 1. Number 2, no steroids. That's been a big deal over the years.
Yeah.
Number 3, no betting. No betting on baseball. No betting on your team. No betting on college football. No betting, period, because if you do and you get caught, it's going to be a damn problem, okay? What was the last one? So no DUI or you're gone. No steroids, no betting. I think that just about covers it. Now, it took them 3 hours to have that meeting because there was a lot of other things covered. And then from 6 to 8 last night, he was in a batting cage hitting at the baseball facility for 2 hours. And then I spoke to him as I was putting the note on Tom Segura's vehicle about, 9:30, 9:45?
Yeah.
That's a long damn day right there, folks. That's a long day. All right, guys, we have a special guest on for you today. I apologize. I just wanted to let Bradley know that my son is now living a damn 9-iron away from a Foosackly's, because that is and Bradley, you might want to tell our listening audience, Foosackly's is a Mobile tradition that seems to have now expanded into college towns in the Southeast.
Correct.
Okay. Very special guest today. I'm so blessed and humbled and honored to have her. Great conversation before we got on air. She has the widest teeth in the insurance industry, by the way. I can tell this is going to be a lot of fun. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to give her the introduction she's always deserved. She is originally from Duluth, Minnesota, and currently resides in Seattle, Washington. She is a graduate of Arizona State University with a degree in finance and marketing. And after a 20-year corporate career combining building out programs, developing and launching products, and forecasting, 10 years at Starbucks corporate. Bradley, we got to talk for a second about Starbucks corporate. That's amazing. 10 years in apparel. And while at Starbucks, she became a coffee master. Okay, easy. Let's not step out and talk about being a coffee master. What a flex. And quality Q grader. I don't even know what that is. And went quite deep into coffee geekery. She's gone deep down the insurance rabbit hole, and she's passionate about bringing insurance to Bitcoin, and in the future, Bitcoin to insurance. Guys, I'm all about that. Let me just throw some of this out at you. She's been program lead, project manager, innovation 2016, product manager, roastery food and beverage innovation 2017. She was a program manager, global food and ingredient quality 2018. Started at Starbucks from 2002 to 2022. That is amazing. And she's also been with AnchorWatch in 2022 to present. She is the co-founder and COO for AnchorWatch. And while she's new to the insurance industry with the formation of AnchorWatch, she's the co-founder and COO and led the work to become a Lloyd's of London cover holder. Bradley just dropped his phone right there. She says, I also wrote our own policy. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my profound honor today to introduce to you first-time guest on the IGP, Miss Becca Rubenfeld. How are you, Becca?
I'm great. That was the intro I have always wanted.
he makes you wait for it a little bit when you get on, but then he delivers it.
No, I wanted to learn about the chicken fingers too. That seemed like really important information.
Well, you know what? We'll go back into Foosackly's. So Foosackly's, I'll real quick. It's a great business lesson. So it's owned by a guy named Will Fuziotti that's almost like this mystical creature here in town. Nobody knows what he looks like. There's no social media, nothing like this. But he is.
Does he live around here?
He is so obsessed with process Process,
I like
process,
it.
process. So none of their stores are franchises. They own all of them so they can control the process. And one story I tell people as it relates to marketing, 5-6 years ago, I was doing a lot of talking about like marketing and telling the story of your agency or your company. And so the Fusakli's chicken finger meal comes with a piece of toast, right?
Okay.
I'm not a big bread guy.
Okay.
So I would get the meal and I would throw the toast away.
All right.
Right. Well, somebody told me, they said, well, Will is so obsessed with process that he bought like 800 toasters, shipped them to his house, and they toasted bread and toasted bread and toasted bread until they could find the toaster that made the perfect piece of toast exactly the same every single time.
Oh, damn.
And the next time I went to Fusakli's, I subconsciously ate the bread because I knew the story behind it. And I think that's a great lesson to business. Like, if you tell your story, people will have this emotional connection with you that they don't even realize that they have.
That's
and
amazing.
so it's a great, like, it's fabulous business. It's a great case study on like process and consistent experience. And they're also one of these weird restaurants, Becca, where they're a fast food chain, okay? But they have employees that have worked there like 20 years. That it's like a badge of honor to work there. And it's really hard, I think, to do that in the restaurant industry, let alone the fast food restaurant industry. You know what I mean? They created this culture where people are proud to work there.
I've worked on kind of both sides of that. So I love that you were just
Starbucks.
reading off my resume. That was great. But since you did, one of the roles that I had was global food quality and safety. And so part of that was all aspects of food quality. And so, for example, like you say, all the toasters, like I kicked off and built a program, just like a project, but where they were testing the ovens and like trying to figure out different ways, like how to make the bacon crispier in the sandwich. And like, if you close the sandwich, it steams. If you open the sandwich and the bacon is soggy, if you open the sandwich, the cheese melts, burns, and it fills the store with the smell of kind of melty cheese, which is not ideal. And so really optimizing for those things. And then on the other side, that customer experience and that relationship and human element between the customer and the barista in the case of Starbucks, obviously, I think was central to the growth of Starbucks over the, let's say, the first 30 years. And I think now that I'm not part of the organization, I can speak a little more freely from the outside. And I think it's fallen off in the last, 5 years or so. But everywhere has that. It's really hard to get employees that will show that level of connection. And it's a real challenge to actually get that consistent experience now.
Hey, Becca, can I talk in front of you for just 1 second?
Please. I've enjoyed it so far.
So Bradley, you and I get, and on my son's life, who we just spoke to, on my son's life, every week we get at least 5 requests. And it's surreal because I'll get an email from like a publisher in New York that's like wanting somebody that's one of their clients to come on our podcast.
Right.
I would say in the past 8 years, we're celebrating our 8-year anniversary of having this podcast on the air, reaching insurance agents all over the world. I would say in our history together, Bradley, there might be 3 people, including Becca, where somebody has reached out to us, and I always do the same thing, Becca. I respond back to the person and I say, hey, I'm just the talent, but I'm copying Bradley on this, and our team will take a look at this. Bradley makes all the decisions relative to who is and who's not going to be on the podcast. But I was shocked when I came in here this morning and we were talking, and you're like, yeah, Becca's the girl. She's the woman that, somebody reached out to us about her being on the show, and I'm thinking, you never let those people be on the show.
It's actually not 3, Becca. It's 1, and it's you. You're the first person that the pitch from the publisher or whatever that
Yeah.
person's called has gotten my attention enough that I was
Joe.
like,
We call,
oh,
we call
oh
him
yeah,
Joe.
oh yeah, we're gonna have this person on.
Yeah.
And because a lot of
Awesome.
times, for those of you that are using some of these companies, I'm sure you have a very high level one that you're using, but a lot of them, they're just peppering the market. They're spraying and praying. We've had a guest before that we interviewed, released the episode, and a week later, a publisher reached out asking us to have this person on the show. I'm like, you did zero research.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? So you are the one and only,
Awesome.
which should make you, we're very, one thing that we do differently on this podcast, and especially other insurance podcasts, but a lot of podcasts, is we are very, very, very particular with our guests. I mean, it's probably a 3-to-1 decline ratio to having on ratio.
I would agree.
Because because there's too many podcasts out there, just in the world in general, that will just anybody that's willing to come on will come on. You know, so
That's crazy. I don't know how she did it, but
dude,
to get your attention and let
her
you...
resume and the Bitcoin for insurance for Bitcoin is. That was the thing. So I'm wildly fascinated in what, and I know there's other people that doing it, but there was something about you that just compelled me enough
not
to
too much. I'll piece apart what's going on out there, but it's a very nascent.
Well,
nascent corner.
I have two questions. One is what was your greatest lesson at corporate at Starbucks would be my first question, and then two, what led you to what you're doing now from there?
All right. They're unrelated, the two answers. So I think my greatest lesson or the belief I developed is that prior to working at Starbucks, I had probably a typical belief that you as a business, you cannot be all things to all people. You need to choose your lane, choose your focus, and target your particular customers, and do your one thing and do it very well, is kind of the common advice. Starbucks doesn't do that. Starbucks tries and largely is successful at being all things to all people. So, you know, it's the drive-through, it's the dependable on-the-go beverage for travelers, whether driving.
You know what
or
you're going to
flying.
get.
Yep. It's even though it gets made fun of as being the Frappuccino place now, it still does have extremely rich coffee culture underpinning it. So, I mean, it is legitimately a coffee destination. It is the sweet treat destination. There are Starbucks that are very, very fancy and elevated and artisanal only and different ingredient sets. And then there's core Starbucks that are throughout America and kind of just serving different people. And so that gave me more of a belief that if you do it well and you do it authentically and you put a focus and stress on every product that you put out is a good product for whom it is intended, you really can do a lot of things. So for us, and bringing that to bringing that to AnchorWatch, you know, we serve retail and commercial. We have a custody platform where you can hold your Bitcoin for us, and it is absolutely the safest version of cold storage Bitcoin. So the safest way to not lose your Bitcoin, and it is the only accessible way to get full 100% coverage on that Bitcoin on the insurance side. And then we have additional brokerage services. We can do custom policies. So we're really, as the early mover in the industry, just trying to do that. Like, okay, insurance is all of a sudden here. It was not here at all very recently. We have our first product. We built it how we built it. We're coming out with a V2 soon, just enhancements based on learnings. And then we have just different insurance products coming out. We just released K&R last week, started bringing that, which is badly needed in the industry. So that was biggest lesson, I think. And what was your other question?
What led you to doing what you're doing now? What led you to insurance?
And it wasn't a Starbucks thing. The closest Starbucks relationship or useful thing I would say that I really directly take is my last 3 years at Starbucks. I built and then with partners, but built and then ran the largest fintech program in the company, and it was getting away from more of my food and beverage roles and really into this kind of fintech and audit compliance and the movement of funds. And it moved about $20 billion annually through this program, and it reduced fraud, internal fraud, around the world. And that was the purpose of the program. Extremely back office compared to what I had done. But actually, it was very helpful for becoming a Lloyd's of London cover holder and doing that. I got into Bitcoin and doing AnchorWatch because of Bitcoin. So I'd been trading Bitcoin. I didn't really understand it, but I was swing trading it to make money.
Right.
Buying and selling, buying and selling. At one point in 2019, it took off 40% in a week. I was out of the trade on 2/3 of what I had been trading, watched it go up, missed that run up, and I ended up happening upon a group of Bitcoiners hanging out talking on an app called Clubhouse. Hopped in to try to get trading alpha and ended up actually learning Bitcoin instead, and got kind of pulled down the rabbit hole. It's fascinating. I think Bitcoin can change the world. It can change politics for the better. I really think it's a monumental invention. And the idea for AnchorWatch actually happened on this app as well, that Bitcoin is a bearer asset like a bar of gold. You can hold a bar of gold in your own custody, and if you lose it, it's gone forever, right? So insurance makes a lot of sense, because if you drop it off the side of a boat and it goes to the bottom of the ocean, the value of that bar of gold is lost. Bitcoin is like that. You can hold it in your own custody, and if you lose access to the private keys, it is gone forever. So again, it deserves to have insurance. It can be custodied safely. It can be custodied securely, and therefore you should be able to insure it at a reasonable rate. And that was the concept for the company. My co-founder's name is Rob Hamilton. He's our CEO. He's technical and built the tech platform, our custody platform for it. We built it out really to make underwriters happy. So that's actually the background of the custody platform, was to try to get reinsurance and improve how Bitcoin is custodied to secure insurance.
So I have another correlation, okay, between the two. So one thing, and there's some mental jumps going on with this, but so one thing that I think Starbucks is brilliant at, okay, is I remember being in high school, maybe middle school, and that's where the Frappuccino thing, that's when that kind of started, at least around here, right? And so I was a golfer. Well, as a 16-year-old golfer, I'm usually playing golf with older people.
Sure.
Right. And it was funny. I would go to school, and then I would go to the golf course after school and play golf with the dads of my friends. And I remember this one guy in particular complaining that his daughter liked $7 coffees. Right. And it was Frappuccinos. And one thing that I think makes Starbucks brilliant by introducing the Frappuccino is they basically created their future customers. Because these kids that would never be in, like my 11-year-old wants coffee now, right? That wouldn't happen 20 years ago, right? Where there was basically just black coffee available, right? And so they basically it's kind of like the coffee version of like the online lead form, where it just asks for your name and then you go to step 2 and it asks for your address. It's like they're leading them on that path to becoming adults and, oh yeah, I'm going to drink coffee.
A bit. They created the habit.
Correct.
Right? So they use, I don't think they made up this term, but they use the term of the third place. So if your primary place is your home, the second is your office. What is your third place where you can go and like hang out, meet friends, meet associates, have the coffee is like a way to center conversation and have that location. And with the Frappuccinos, just the nature of having the sugar definitely pulled it younger. For sure. But like on the other hand, you could say it kind of replaced the soda fountain.
For sure.
So I think teenagers would have gone to a soda fountain back in the day and been able to get their ice creamy Cokes, and now they get their ice creamy coffee instead.
Yeah. So. But I think there's also a correlation too to insurance for Bitcoin, in that in a way you're probably introducing insurance to people who've never really thought about it.
We say we're creating the market. So like we created the insurance product, the insured custody product, and now we're out there doing the Lord's work out there in the Bitcoin industry, teaching them that insurance is available, it's affordable, it's good quality, and it's something that now that exists, it's just responsible to own.
Yeah.
You're self-insuring a whole lot of risk. And remember that people that own Bitcoin, especially if they found it, let's say more than 6, 7 years ago, a lot of them, maybe they put in a relatively modest investment early on, and now it's
Not
70,
modest.
80, 90, 97% of their net worth, and they suddenly have, $8 million or $80 million that they didn't expect to, and they really need to be thinking if self-insuring that risk is the right thing for their family, especially with the increase in wrench attacks and the kidnappings and all those things that are going on now.
So where do you even start when creating this product? Was Lloyd's the first stop,
I
or?
wish.
Yeah. And also I'm imagining in my head sitting at a boardroom in front of a bunch of Lloyd's people who probably, maybe I'm wrong in this, but really don't understand Bitcoin that much.
I wish we had started at Lloyd's, because the only people in insurance who understand Bitcoin are Lloyd's. And if
Gotcha.
we had
Right.
started there, we could have launched quite a bit faster. We started, honestly, so we were absolute
They went to
novices.
Travelers.
Yeah.
Dude, we people
Why
are
didn't
like,
you
so
just call?
how
If
did
you'd have just called Bradley and I, we could have told you that, like, I mean, the only natural fit for something like this is
Exactly.
Lloyd's.
Listen, if I had
Just-
talked to you 2.5 years ago, you could have, with that sentence, you could have saved me 9 months or
After I
something.
laughed at you for about 5 minutes, I'd have been like, "All right, Becca, let's
There were
let's
two
do the damn
things
thing."
that could have saved me just so much pain. One of them, somebody could have just been like, Lloyd's, go to Lloyd's. And two, somebody could have been like, you're going to need a reinsurance broker,
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
period.
Which, by the way, here's the second thing I would have told you. That reinsurance, process of going through that
Yeah.
is probably going to be right above getting audited by the IRS, because they are going to take
Oh my God.
so much time to get back. I mean, you're probably thinking like, yeah, we'll have this wrapped up in 2 weeks.
I think we might have thought 2 months, 3 months, and yeah, it was a year, effectively. It was a
Yeah.
year. So, like, here's how I took us down the wrong path for a bit. It's because the admitted carriers, they take your call. It's
Right.
it
Oh,
was
sure.
confusing.
Oh, yeah, man. Yeah. Come on.
They
Fly up
took
here.
the call. I was cold emailing like Swiss Re. I was like,
course
you
here's
were.
Swiss Re. I have a product for you. Hey, Munich Re. Like,
Hey,
State
Munich
Farm.
Re, I'm going to change your life.
Well, you also, the danger too, like, going to the admitted carriers too, in my opinion, their angle is, hey, we want to know what this person's doing because we might want to do this too.
Oh,
So
100.
you also like, I've got some decent ideas for some programs, but I'm scared to go to some carriers because, like, why would they need me? You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, the good thing is they definitely need us. They don't know
They
anything
do.
about Bitcoin. So, like, that was less of a concern, but all the same, they wasted a huge amount of time. Nobody specific, all of them.
Right.
Yeah.
Because they would take our call and we'd be like, oh my God, we got a call. Like, this is great. And so we'd get on the call and we'd talk to whoever the first line of defense
And they're
was.
probably super nice.
They were super nice and super interested. And frankly, it was sincere because our program is very interesting, right? Like, it was probably
Absolutely.
the most interesting pitch they had heard in 90 days. And so
Right,
they were
right
like,
up,
wow,
right
this
up
is...
to the point where they said, "Let me run this up the flagpole."
No. They actually ran us up the flagpole. So we would spend weeks like, okay, let's make a business plan. Like, we would be like,
We're ready.
whipping that thing out, like making all their special requests for the business plan. So put weeks into it. We'd meet maybe 2, 3 different people. And then at the end of it, they'd be like, well, this is fascinating. We don't touch crypto,
Right.
but it's fascinating. Thank you.
Unbelievable.
And I'd be like, "Gah!" So yeah, eventually a kind soul gave us the tip to get a broker, and then a broker
Yep.
fairly quickly brought us over
Sure.
to Lloyd's. And then
Sure.
Lloyd's knows. So there's only a couple of underwriters that lead crypto deals and they are
I was about to
legitimately
ask how many
possible.
syndicates at Lloyd's were like legit, like we want to do this.
Well, there's two that lead
Okay.
crypto in general. So one of
Okay.
the two is leads on our binder,
Gotcha.
and we have two additional part on our binder, and then we're
Okay.
working on renewals for next week, and we've got several more that are joining. And
Okay.
then on the other syndicate that tends to lead, I think they have a few additional that tend to join with them. So I would say there's probably 10 syndicates who are actively pursuing crypto capacity
Gotcha.
deployment right now.
So
And maybe
so
more.
take us through the product. I'm a consumer or I'm an agent and my customers have concerns about this, but I'm a consumer. How does the product work?
Yeah, yeah. So we have two products on the market today and more to come, but I'll focus on the two that are on the market today. The first is a traditional KNR. So that is really it's available to anybody, individuals, families, or companies and their executives, employees. It's traditional KNR, so it covers the 24-hour crisis response. It covers ransom payments. It covers hostage negotiation, mental health, medical expenses, legal expenses, business interruption, all those kind of things. The difference that's unique to the AnchorWatch policy, it's also 100% backed by Lloyd, so A plus rated, is that one, we don't penalize people for holding crypto. So Lloyd's understands that our clientele tend to own crypto, and so they're not going to penalize those people just for owning it. So Lloyd's has agreed to kind of give them a fair shake during underwriting.
Right.
And then there's some additional crypto specific coverages that we've added into a more typical form. So it's a great policy. It's available to anybody, but we just target the crypto industry because that's our network. So really anybody who has a client that's looking for KNR, who's maybe they own a small amount of Bitcoin and an agent is aware of it. Maybe they sold them an umbrella or homeowners or a business liability, and they want to add this into their package, they could certainly talk to us. Then our core product, the one that we're most known for, is a custody product. So we have built this custody platform. As I mentioned earlier, the custody platform actually came about to make the underwriters happy. But it is a custody platform that was designed to mitigate loss risk. So at its highest level, it's unique because the customer holds private keys, meaning the ability to move Bitcoin, and AnchorWatch holds keys, and we're both required signers while you're insured. So
Oh.
picture it
Right.
like a
So that's sort of how
nuclear
you
sub.
mitigate some of the risks a little bit.
It's kind of like a
Exactly. So we're able to
safety deposit
actually
box.
sorry.
You know, a safety deposit box. You got
Yeah,
a key, the
picture it
bank's
with the
got a
two
key.
keys, right?
Yeah.
And so if one of the keys isn't there, it can't open. And by
Right.
doing that, we can mitigate many risks. And so we take that, and it's actually quite a bit more involved that
Sure.
there are time locks. So we can actually, Bitcoin is programmable money. And so it's not a bar of gold, right? It is programmable. And so we can pre-program it to say, look, on day one, the two keys, your key, our key, that's how it works. But if something happens, if you lose your key, if they're stolen from you, if they brick, then we have these time locked additional ways to move Bitcoin that
Right.
unlock over time. So we have recovery options if the customer dies. We can make inheritance absolutely foolproof
Right.
using a recovery layer. And then the vault is pre-programmed to become self-custody if you don't renew your insurance policy. So for any reason, if you decide to no longer be an AnchorWatch customer, the vault will actually return to being controlled only by the customer, where they don't have to ask us for help once we no longer, and Lloyd's no longer has liability. And then the insurance itself is it's a custody policy, so it's primarily a specie policy with crime coverage layered in as well. And then a little bit of this KNR style coverage for
What's K and R
kidnapping.
mean? What is
Kidnap
that?
and ransom.
Kidnap and
Oh,
ransom.
okay. Okay.
Yeah, and there's been a big increase in kidnappings over this last 6 months, especially,
What,
where
you
it's
talking about
actually now a very real risk.
foreign countries, somebody in
The
Argentina
big
finds out you
increase
got
this
Bitcoin.
year, yeah, the big increase this year was Paris. There was a hot spot. So one of
Yeah.
the founders of Ledger, which is one of those Bitcoin private hardware wallets that you can physically store key.
Sure.
One of the founders of that company and his wife were kidnapped at the beginning of the year. They immediately cut off a finger, forced the other founders to collect $10 million and pay it in ransom. And that kind of set off a series of kidnappings. There was also a very high profile one in New York that was through some kind of crypto degen, maybe unsavory characters, but I guess that happens when we're talking kidnapping. And that one was also like I think an 8-figure ransom. But the big change is that they're happening in first world countries, and the tactics on the kidnappings are kind of echoing the tactics in 80s and 90s Central America, that they're going to violence immediately. So it used to be more in first world country kidnappings, ransom. It was all very hush hush. It was all the kidnappers were trying to get it resolved, get their money without actually committing
Sure.
violence. Right now, they're doing the opposite. They're actually starting with violence. They're cutting off fingers or, beating up somebody very badly right at the very beginning to prove to the hostage negotiators that they're serious.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, it really is quite threatening. Family members, unfortunately, have been involved multiple times. And so that's why we worked very quickly to add the kidnap and ransom policy to our portfolio, just because it's happening a lot. And it's happening to people whether they specifically own Bitcoin or not. The platform, the custody platform I was referring to, is specific to Bitcoin. It's Bitcoin Tech. So it's inherent to that specific coin. So we don't custody other tokens. But the kidnap and ransom policy, it's covering a person or a company and a dollar amount. So it doesn't matter which crypto you own. And so, yeah, we're responding really to the need on the marketplace, and the fact that a lot of times if you admitted that you owned Bitcoin, you were getting denied for coverage with other companies.
So okay, okay. So the crypto product, actuarially, how is it underwritten? Is the premium more expensive based on how much Bitcoin you have? I'm guessing that factors in there somehow.
Actually, for policies and size, we can generally work with Lloyd's to do improved pricing. But
Okay.
we do have a slightly separate wrench attack or these kidnapping coverages for the high end. So if it's policies like north of 15 million, so a good size customer, then under the covers, we're going to have a separate custody policy and a separate kidnap and ransom policy under the covers, where if it's a smaller policy, the kidnapping coverage is just covered. It's included
Gotcha.
in
So
the smallers.
the crypto, crypto insurance with the multiple keys and that sort of thing.
Yeah, the
Is there a Bitcoin? And I'm assuming it's all crypto, not just Bitcoin.
Yep.
Right. Okay. Is there an asset value point that it makes sense to do this?
In my opinion, on our product, it makes sense if you have a whole coin. So a whole coin at the moment is
Gotcha.
$113,000.
Ooh.
Pretty good. Not quite as good as 3 days ago where it was 124, but that's Bitcoin for you. But if our minimum policy size is $250,000 policy size, but the cost for that is $1,200 a year, $1,300 a year, something like that. So it really is very affordable compared to other custody solutions, and that's for fully insured. So we tend to say, like, you might be overinsured because it's a $250,000 policy, but I think the cost makes sense once you own 6 figures. Of
Let's
Bitcoin.
pretend hypothetically I've got 500,000 in Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Well, can you increase the coverages up to that?
Oh yeah, we can go up to 100 million per client.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Interesting.
we have very large limits.
So and I don't know all the terminology, but if I've got it on Coinbase, can you work with that, or does it have to be on your How does that work?
Today on the product, if you became a customer today, you need to put it on our platform. So
Gotcha.
our policy is specific to having all these mitigations built in. We are, again, we actually just got back from a London trip like a week
Okay.
ago, and we were kind of getting ahead of renewals and what we're doing next year. And we will be adding the ability to underwrite other systems, meaning
Okay.
other tech platforms. And so we're already doing that on an open market basis now. So we've got a couple of clients, well, quite a few clients actually, that we're working with now to underwrite them on a one-off basis, open market. And sometime next year, on our next year binder, then we'll be adding a whole section to our binder where we have our own policy for other platforms as well.
So,
So
so
we, yeah, go ahead.
currently, so currently, if I own Bitcoin,
Yep.
and let's say I've got it stored on another platform
Yeah.
outside of AnchorWatch,
Yeah.
in order to take out the policy, question one, I would need to move it to your platform at
Right.
AnchorWatch so you
Yep.
guys can have the keys and be able to quote unquote watch it. But then how hard is it to move
A few clicks. It's not hard.
Bitcoin from one platform
If you're
to
working
another?
with somebody that knows what they're doing, it's not hard at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we do an onboarding call with the customer, and so we're always happy if they're nervous to talk them through it. But literally, our custody platform, at the end of the day, it's very advanced. So I think you would want to move your Bitcoin to our platform because, for example, sitting at Coinbase or at one of the major exchanges, it's effectively uninsured right now. It's a
Right.
huge honeypot. They have basis points coverage. So they have like a $250 million policy, but 500 billion in custody. So like effectively uninsured, right? And by moving it over to our platform, it's a much higher level of cryptographic protection. So I think you would want to do that, and then more or less for the same cost or very similar cost, it's insured.
So I'll tell you a funny story that I don't think I've ever told on this podcast that we've ever talked about.
How much crypto do you own right now?
Not a lot.
Don't answer that. I'm
So
we're-
I don't
we're
want to get
avoiding the
kidnapped.
kidnapping.
I don't. If you're a
'Cause you'd be
kidnapper,
the
I
guy
don't.
that own like.
No, I actually have very, very little.
You have a whole coin?
No.
All right, we'll work on that.
Couple $1,000.
Let's get you a coin.
Yeah, I know. I always miss it. I'm like, okay,
Well,
now's
right
the time
now
to buy,
just
and it
dropped-
shoots up.
It just dropped 10%
I know, but
in
it
like
might
48
drop
hours.
to 50.
Yeah.
So Scott and I
Yeah.
sold the first insurance-related NFT
That's true.
in
yeah?
the world. Yeah, it was not a big deal. It was
It's not a big deal, but
we did a conference and we sold tickets to the conference, and the first 10 tickets that sold were NFTs. So it's
Okay.
insurance adjacent
Yeah,
NFT. CJ Hudson Pillar bought it actually.
Yeah.
But what's funny is we sold it. What's the sort of alt version of Ethereum? If you said it was
Solana.
no, it was Ethereum, but it was on a different platform. I can't remember
Ace?
all the verbiage.
Ace.
I'll think of it in a minute.
All right.
But basically, we sold it, and we were, this conference. It was the first year we did it of 2 years, and the first year it was not profitable, so we needed like every dollar, right?
Right.
And so I could not figure out how to transfer the Ethereum and convert it into cash to use in the conference, right? So I reached out to Scott and our partners at the time, and I was like, hey, I'm just going to transfer the money out of my personal checking account, and this will be mine now, right? So that's what I did. So we're first day of the conference, and we're doing the panel that Johnny was on. You remember the podcasting panel? So I'm on stage moderating this panel, and my phone just starts blowing up, Becca. And I pull it out and I look at it, and that was the day that Ethereum dropped like a ton. Like, I don't remember how, but I was like, man, I really timed this very poorly.
Very badly.
But
yeah, crypto has the ability to just kill you
I know.
with the timing.
You know what would be interesting? This may be impossible to underwrite, but some sort of like hedge that you could buy. That if it drops, this maybe in some kind of parametric
The problem
sense.
is that's a financial hedge.
Yeah.
So you certainly could do that. It would be a very challenging product.
Yeah.
So, there are these Bitcoin treasury codes that are coming out, and they're doing kind of financialization and putting financial products on Bitcoin, which
Yeah.
provides varieties of hedges, but a pure price hedge, it's an FX product, right? Not an insurance product. But we sure do think about it. People would
Yeah.
buy it. It would
Hey,
just at what price?
Yeah.
Becca, I don't.
That's the problem
Yeah.
is it's also, it can be very volatile. So it's like, how do you
Yeah,
predict
extremely volatile.
what it's going to do? And
Yeah.
it would probably come down to, for the consumer, like, hey, it would just be easier for me to sell or diversify some of my crypto versus buying this.
Hey, Becca, I
Yeah.
have a question that probably hasn't happened yet.
Okay.
But whether you like it or not, I'm gonna teach you something today. You're in the cycle of insurance just like we are, and what I mean by that, the cycle of insurance. Every carrier's in the cycle of insurance. Every agency's in the cycle of insurance. Think about it like the face of a clock, right? So currently, right now, today, as we sit here, on that face of that clock, Becca with AnchorWatch is probably somewhere around the 1 o'clock p.m. On that clock, which is the growth mode. You got a new product. Y'all are wanting to get out there and get after it, mix it up. You got other products coming out, but y'all are kind of in that growth mode right now.
Yeah.
Okay. But you'll start writing a bunch of business, and at some point you'll hit the what I call 6 p.m. on that clock, and
Okay.
you'll start taking losses, and then you'll have
Yeah.
to increase prices, and it's called the cycle of insurance. But
Yeah.
there's a situation I was just thinking about from a story or an example you gave earlier that probably hasn't happened yet, but is probably going to happen. And that is, some individual out there in the United States takes out one of these policies. Maybe they've got, let's just say, $10 million in crypto,
Okay.
Bitcoin. And during the policy period between renewals, for whatever reason, car wreck, illness, sudden death, for some reason they pass away. And then more than likely, whether they have a will, depending on what state they live in, that's going to go to probate. And then somebody somewhere is going to get that crypto. But in the meantime, because that person didn't tell anybody they took this insurance policy out, that policy is going to non-renew. It's going to cancel because y'all are going to be trying to get in touch with this person. And that person will have passed away, and then y'all are going to be, well, okay, well, they passed away. This policy's not good. How would you handle a situation like that?
Yeah, so that is super well defined, actually. So we have what we call the AnchorWatch inheritance protocol. It
Okay.
does not require filing an insurance claim. Because also remember, you could have, for example, a $3 million insurance policy, but you could have $10 million in your vault.
Correct.
Right? So the inheritance protocol is on the full 10 million. It's everything in your vault, and AnchorWatch, and this is all very, very clearly listed out in our terms of service. So anybody can look at that before becoming a customer. And we never claim ownership over the Bitcoin. So when somebody signs up, we collect account beneficiary and a secondary beneficiary. Those are separate from, and they can be the same, but separate from the insurance beneficiary.
Right.
And their
It's like
contact
life insurance. Basically the same thing they do with life insurance.
I mean, people kind of treat our policy like life insurance,
Right.
in choosing their amount. Like maybe they don't want to buy a full $10 million policy, so they kind of think, what is the mortgage? How much do I want to make sure my wife inherits no matter what? And like they'll insure that amount. But the inheritance protocol, we use these recovery layers. And so it's actually very straightforward. You by identifying your beneficiary up front, generally we can avoid probate for them. Everything is very documented. We provide documents that you can keep in your file, you can give to your trust attorney. And effectively what happens is, if we're lucky, their beneficiary does know that they have a policy, or at least that, like, the spouse or the family member, the parent, was an AnchorWatch customer. Hopefully the customer will have printed off this document that we give them specifically to help the beneficiary get started and get in contact with us. And they would just let us know, and we would start the process. We'd be verifying death certificate as well as the identity of the beneficiary, make sure that who they say they're going to be, and any other state laws specific to inheritance that we would need to check any additional documents.
Right.
If we didn't hear from them, what would be happening is towards the end of your policy, we'd be reaching out. So like say, Scott, it's your policy. We'd be like, hey, Scott, in about 2 months, your policy, it's going to renew. We're going to get together. We're going to sign our annual transaction together, which
Sure.
restarts those time locks that I talked about. So do a technical signature with the keys, and we wouldn't hear from you, right?
Correct.
You'd be ghosting us. So we'd be reaching out with additional urgency. Then we'd be warning you. We'd be say, hey, Scott, just final warning here. Next week, your vault is going to be self-custody. We could still recover it for you, but just know that next week it can be controlled by your keys alone. And just make sure you're comfortable with that. You have your keys in a safe location. And if we still didn't hear from you 90 days after your policy ends, we will actually start reaching out to your beneficiary and be like, hey, you were listed as a beneficiary on Scott's policy. We've been trying to get a hold of him. We weren't available. Can you help
Did
us?
you kill him?
And so right. And so hopefully through either the primary or the secondary beneficiary, we would find the right person and then start the process. Even if we don't, we still never claim ownership. It would belong to the estate, and eventually we would figure out who the estate is, and the Bitcoin would go to them.
I have a couple morbidly curious questions. So one, I know a lot of the Bitcoin crypto community likes to remain anonymous.
Yeah.
How does that work in relationship
Well, alas,
it's hard to be anonymous if
it's frankly, it tends to not be the product for them, because an insurance is a contract. We need to know who we're dealing with.
Sure.
Yeah.
We can do a couple of things. So one, I would say the most common thing we hear that customers do is they segment their own Bitcoin and they handle their anonymity themselves.
Gotcha.
So some customers have their super secret non-KYC stack. It's their government resistant stack. It's their anti-demand stack, right? They don't send that to us.
Yeah.
They don't tell us about that, other than maybe telling us they have a stack over there. Then they have their super high security, I cannot lose this. This is my family's nest egg stack. That's their AnchorWatch stack.
Right.
That's what we're finding. So like that's the portion that they are segmenting themselves, and they're saying, hey, we'll take on the risk of sharing our identity for all these benefits, for this foolproof inheritance, for the insurance, for the protection against kidnappings. So this is maybe the middle 50%, and then maybe they have some other third stack that, again, they don't tell us about, or they use another provider, or they do something, or maybe it's pure self-custody. And so that is probably the most common way that customers solve that problem for themselves. And then, there's like, if customers are really just trying to make it, like some customers are a little weirded out that insurance policies get filed with the insurance commissioner. And so, some customers choose to insure under the name of a trust or an LLC.
Sure.
That's fine. It adds another layer of digging required. So it's requiring more and more sophistication and level of warrants to find out their name, type of thing.
Gotcha. So we were going to the beach last weekend, and we left really late. We left at like 9:00. It was like 10:30, and my 3-year-old was still awake, of course, and he had to go to the bathroom. And the only place we could stop was a sketchy gas station. So I walk him in the sketchy gas station, and I walk out, and my wife looks at me, and she's like, "What's wrong?" I said, "There's a Bitcoin ATM in there."
Yeah.
That was wild to see in person.
Yeah.
So anyway,
buy it on the street. Yeah,
hey,
that
Becca.
is a way to buy. When you buy from an ATM, it's non-KYC generally.
Gotcha.
So, but you paid like a 20% commission.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure that. Yeah, I was sure there was some kind of crazy thing like that. So
it shows up in the commission. You
crystal
pay a lot
ball
for it.
question: where do you think Bitcoin's going to, dollar wise? Yeah,
High.
it has to, right? Because there's only so many available. But what could happen that could stop
Is
that?
capped, and it's the denominator. The dollar is constantly inflating. When you get enough information about Bitcoin that you start to understand it and you start to understand the problems that it's trying to solve, it's really hard to unknow that. And so just adoption starts happening naturally and price goes up to and to the right consistently. It's extremely volatile when you zoom in, but when you zoom out, it goes
Yeah.
pretty much straight up to the right since it was invented, and that's very tempting for investors, right? So you get a little bit of knowledge and you get a little bit of greed, and eventually you
Yeah.
make an allocation as you get more information, and you make a purchase, and it's once you
Mm-hmm.
get it, you tend to start increasing
The
your buy size. So
the
yeah, this year the institutions came in, so Wall Street came in a huge way, the ETFs came in, all of that is bringing new entrants. It's changing the volatility. It's decreasing the volatility. So we're seeing a much less volatile
It's
bull
almost like a
market.
Berkshire Hathaway type thing now, where it's just slowly going up to some degree.
That's what it's doing right now. So historically, Bitcoin has had a really notable 4-year cycle where it peaked in the fall of the fourth year, every fourth year, and then it had a 50 to 90% or 50 to 80% drawdown. If it were following that pattern, that would be happening this fall. But everything is a little different right now with this huge just change of behavior and the influx of
Mm-hmm.
TradFi and Wall Street and all these different financial products, futures and derivatives that are all on it that are changing the dynamics. So there's a lot of debate and nobody knows. So don't believe anybody if they say they know because they don't.
Right.
There's a big debate on whether we're still going to have a
Drawdown.
peak, and some are saying it was 2 days ago. 124 was the peak,
Yeah.
and that was it, and we're going to go back down to 40, 50, 60, and it is a 4-year cycle.
If
It
it
just
gets to
wasn't a
40,
very
50,
exciting
60,
one.
I'm buying.
Others say, like, don't be a bear. It's a 4-year cycle. It's just heating up. It's going to go into next year based on various analysis. So timing's going to be a little different, but it's going to be hundreds of thousands this cycle. And then there's a large contingent right now. I don't know where I lay, but there's a large contingent that thinks that cycles are done. And in fact, it's just a slow grind up to the right. And sure, there's volatility. It's still volatile compared to other asset classes, but it's just going to grind upwards. I tend to think the cycle will continue until I see it break. So at the moment, I think my number was 180 to like 320 was my range for this cycle, and we're at 113 now. So based on that, we would still have some room. But if it did just grind up to the right, I could see that as well. So
One
it
thing
wouldn't
I thought
surprise me
about,
either way.
one thing I thought about a few years ago, 2020-ish,
Yeah.
was deploying a employee benefit, almost like a retirement account, which we
Yeah.
do already, but for crypto.
Yeah.
And I think you guys would fit right in with that too, like offer AnchorWatch as well with that.
Yeah. So at the moment, we can insure like a SD IRA, a self-directed IRA, and we can insure trusts and things like that. We don't specifically facilitate an IRA product. There are a few startups in Bitcoin that do some sort of employee benefit thing. So they're trying to put together programs that a company could do,
Yeah.
like the benefits department could adopt and offer it to clients where they could set, say, 3% or 5% of their income and just do automatic purchases. None of them have like really taken off yet. At the end of the day, if you think about it, it's just saving you a little administrative help, right? Because the
Right.
alternative is you just get your paycheck, then you can take your 3% and just buy it at the cheapest place. Whereas maybe these benefits programs, they take a larger commission than if you just did it yourself, but it's convenient. So like the idea is out there. It hasn't really taken off yet, but I mean, I do think it'll come because convenience.
Hey,
convenience
Becca,
factor.
last question and then we
Sure.
got to run.
All right.
Is AnchorWatch the only insurance program out there for Bitcoin?
We are certainly the only that offer insured custody. So
Okay.
we're the only, if you're a retail customer, if you're an individual, or if you're like a small business, the ability to get one-to-one Bitcoin custody insurance, we're the only way. Our K&R policy is also the only one that's actually specifically approved for us to target Bitcoin or crypto owners. What does exist out there today are large commercial omnibus policies. So I mentioned the Coinbase has like a 200, $350 million policy. BitGo has, I think, a $250 million policy. They're just fractional compared to the total assets under custody. So in my opinion, those policies tend to be used more as a marketing tool, like, oh, we're insured, we're insured. But if you dig into it, not so much, right? So we'd like to say that, well, not we do say that we are really the only way that you can directly insure your assets with your name on the insurance
And
policy.
are you looking for agencies like mine, like Bradley's, to contract with to sell this product?
So far we have been selling direct, and in just a few months when we go on our new binder, we're inviting brokers in. So we will start the broker business. We're talking to some larger ones currently and kind of getting that set up. And as you know, that requires like having broker resources available. So we're working on those now, and once they're available, I'm definitely interested to work with independents as well, and explore that and kind of maximize that channel. So
Can I
that'll
give you
come.
can I give you a pro tip?
Say that again.
Can I give you a pro tip?
Please.
So this podcast will launch. We can edit this out. This podcast will launch probably 8 weeks from today.
Oh, okay.
I would set up get a pre-appointment.
Okay.
Companies we've worked with that are launching to independents have done really, because you don't want to like miss, because probably 30,000 people are going to listen to this in the next 12 months.
Okay.
30 to 50,000 people.
Okay.
We've worked with companies before, like, yeah, we're not selling to brokers yet, and then they kind of forget about it. But if you do like, hey, here's the pre-appointment stuff. It's not an appointment, name, email, phone number. Then you at least have their info and can reach out to them when you're ready to go.
Oh, I like it. I like it. That's great. I will do that. Definitely. Thank you.
Sweet.
What if we did an affinity
in which
program
case,
on
the
it?
answer is yes. We're definitely open
to pre-appointments,
to working with independent agents. We're kicking off work with large brokerages now, and we'll look to expand to independent agents this fall.
I think there's an angle for you too to work with an admitted carrier for them to offer your product as like piggybacking on their policy.
Oh, I totally agree. Like, if you had a homeowners or an umbrella policy, be able to add it on as a rider. Yeah, I would love to explore that as well. That's another goal for 2026.
Or like a high end.
Yeah. HO5.
Yeah.
You want to close this out?
Yeah. Becca, thank you.
Thank you guys.
Enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun.
It was.
Man, I could see so many opportunities there with this.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. We've got our whole line of additional policies up our sleeve too. So we've got more coming.
All right.
I'm excited for you. So
Thank you.
I'm gonna close this out. Guys, you are listening to the Insurance Guys podcast. I'm Scott Howell. This is Bradley Flowers. And as I end every episode, rewards come from action, not discussion. Get your ass out from behind that desk today. Go out into the big bad world. Become the mayor of your village. Write good business for the agencies that you represent. Write good business for the carriers that you represent. Bradley Flowers, I love you.
Love you too, buddy. Thanks, Becca.
Thank you, Becca. We love you too.
Day.
Best of luck to you. Call us if you need us, and don't make any other mistakes. Just call us first.
Will do.
Guys, you're listening to the Insurance Guys podcast, and we love each one of you. Thank you so much for being a part of our family, and we'll see you back here real soon. Take care.